Hello, my chess friends. So we've got another cover for the Indian Chess Congress. I'll just try to get through the games really quickly. I was unable to stream yesterday because yeah, I got really tired first day at work, unfortunately. So today we'll go through that. First board, Nicholas Crowd was playing against Daniel Gong, and the game was mm, yeah, it was still quite a fight there, but the guys went through the Nimzo defense here, and White started to try to attack on the king side. Black tried to get some initiative on the queen side as usual in this defense, but after a while they settled for a draw. Even though here White had the computer says that White had quite an advantage um, um, and a really strong attack, but here was played uh, rook to h8 check instead of the winning move of that check, right? So if king goes there, then, well, that's not really um, obvious here, of course. So there are a lot of things that you need to see, and probably white was just going for the direct attack on the enemy's king, but that sacrifice is not sound and allowed black basically uh, to draw here because there was no actual checkmate in here. Again, here white has got some of the possibilities to go there. Again, check, and it says +5 for black because for white, sorry, because if he goes there, for example, like say check here, goes away, continuing, and the queen is actually gone. But probably yeah, there was time pressure whatsoever, so why didn't really risk to go that way, and probably he was shocked that he lost the rook and the enemy's king is still going, but by some reason that was agreed to a draw. Okay, so yeah, in this position, king a5, and it's agreed to a draw. Okay, so next one was the US Grandmaster playing against Ben Hague, and he went for the London, which transformed to some kind of Chigorin defense with bishop to g4 and knight to h8, f6. But here, what happened? The Grandmaster didn't really change the bishops. He just went for g5, and that pin is quite annoying here. But well, still nothing too bad for black. Position slightly, yeah, slightly crumped, but yeah, here the g4 pawn was sacrificed, and then yeah, white basically got some kind of attack on the king's side. Um, he's going there. If you notice that white has already got significant advantage here, probably because of the uh, well, yeah, the bishop here is gone, and white still has got really strong attack in here. So I think if the queen is pushed away, then black is in severe trouble. Now the exchange is gone. Currently, white is a piece up. So he goes there, exchange is gone. Now white is up the whole rook, and he goes e4, going there, taking another rook comes in, getting there, check, and white checkmates. Unfortunate. Okay, but frankly, Chigorin defense that kind of level is probably not really sound against the Grandmaster. Alright, next. Anthony Kerr playing against Samir Shoker. So here we see the Pitts defense with bishop to g5 and queen to d2. That prevents black from castling here, right? Well, not at the moment, but later on black would have some problems with that. h6, bishop needs to go back. Then b5, right attack in the on the flank. So here recently I had a similar game with Alex Yarovinsky, and he also played similar variation here. So in fact, well, it was slightly different, but still the idea is to go there and the knight should retreat somewhere, leaving e4 pawn undefended. But okay, so a bishop to d3. Frankly, not really good spot for a bishop here, but cool. Going there, going there. White has got significant advantage in here because look at the center, and black has made like a lot of moves with the pawns, and just two pieces are developed. So here, castling, bishop g4. Knight doesn't want to be exchanged, of course. Going there, h3, a6, b3. So here, well, yeah, I also played b3 there with the idea of developing my bishop to the long diagonal, but here, yeah, well, I think this is a little bit more sound. Taking there. So white has got advantage in here. f4 is probably the next one. So going c5, a5. Okay, okay, going away. If you notice that white has got a really significant advantage here, 2.9, 2.9, yes. So going there. So now closing the center was not really good. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Like a 4 in this position. Okay, d5. Okay, that's interesting because now, bishop is actually trapped, so he takes. Now white is piece up, taking there, going away. What happens if he takes? Okay, the rook is under fire. Okay, so here we can't really take because that one is there, but you lose your exchange this way anyways. So here we go. So we've got two pieces for exchange. Cool. Forward check. White's position is quite good. f4, logical, going there, taking, taking, taking g5, rook takes, knight goes there, all the first line, play. And here we go. Here is the mistake. Whereas computer recommends take check here, he has to take, and then we emerge with extra piece still, right? So that's good. And that's the sample play here for the computer. And well, definitely like piece up is definitely piece up, right? So knight f3 was played, which was inaccuracy, but white still got an advantage. So going there, taking, 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 taking. Yeah, white wants to exchange everything basically. Now rook f3. Now why rook f3 is wrong? Because basically the queen is too far, so the computer recommends to bring the queen, right? And if this check happens, well, cool, we're just going away, right? There's no problem here at all. Going there, yeah, we can take. All right. So black cannot really create any attack in here. And rook f3. Now black is moving forward for sure. Rook g3, queen to f6, queen to f1, sacrifice to bring the rook in. Now still okay, but now okay. So here comes the idea. Well, naturally, yeah, you want to step away, but computer says you need to use the tempi here just in order to either exchange everything or, but frankly, it's really strange move because of this check. Yeah, I would be afraid to go there. Then another check here, but the computer says, yeah, well, everything is cool, man. Just go there. Exchanging, checking, going away, closing with the queen check, going away, taking here, opposite there's a start, stop, checking here, then take here, check, goes away, check. White has got a draw here for sure, right? So yeah, that's what was. But here bishop to d3 comes, and yeah, black starts the attack immediately, takes everything he's getting there. Oopsie. So here, check. You have to take. We take here. If he takes with the king, then check here, and this rook falls anyways. And there's interim check here to get this pawn. Then another check here to get that one, and then, well, we can't do that all the time. So she goes there. We're taking here. Taking, taking. and white has got advantage because of that pawn. Okay, um, and now slowly but surely white has got outplayed because of this really strong attack here. Queen is gone, and white resigned. Well, that's what always happens once you play somebody who is more experienced. Unfortunately, a couple of weak moves, he counterattacked and won the game that he should have lost. Okay, Russell Dive plays against Edward Reigns. Edward was quite on fire this tournament, so he managed to win Russell Dive as well. It's a really interesting system that many players this time played. Maybe it is really fashionable. Somebody from top players plays that as well, but I'm not sure. But yeah, well, Black has got really comfortable position here. I will turn off the engine, but that's interesting to see. So going there, yeah. Well, Black's position is quite strong here. H6, yeah. So here we see that White has got significant advantage because of the bishops and the all of the pieces for like this strongest possible center. Everything is centralized. So what happened then? Now here. So after this move, that's a mistake. And White should have gone this way. Take. Then he takes maybe e5 or something. Maybe even d5. Hang on a second. So what about this? Oh, he takes with check, of course. Yes. So what is the computer's recommendations? Yeah, e5. Yeah, that seems interesting. So yeah, taking here is definitely not right because everything is gonna get attacked. Check. Well, cool. We can take with the queen. Queen is still under attack, so if it goes somewhere, we take here. Yeah, and we are a piece up. But white went bishop e3, h3, sorry, going away, and slowly but slowly, it's just like, okay, so both of them at this moment have got just 1 minute. That's why the result of blunders um, um, this particular part of the game. 6, taking, move 36, h4, queen there, and here we go, move 40. So here we go. Now both opponents have got the increment. After move 40, they get 30 minutes more in the usual 30 seconds, of course. So here, white arrived with 0.4, which means the slight advantage. So he goes there, taking, and that manifests the advantage to black. Why? Taking there, it is even worse. So going there was the main idea. He goes away, exchanging the rooks, because exchanging makes basically life easier. But here, black still has got advantage. Okay, but taking on here with even is even worse. Okay, taking there, exchanging, and basically black has got really strong passer, which is much more advanced than the white passer, as well as he's got just an extra pawn. So here starts the, and also the attack is coming. So that's really interesting. So check there, going away, now going there. I'm sorry, I think I forgot to turn off the other um, screen, so I start to get messaging there. Okay, and here comes the attack as well. Now, well, yeah, that was really actually tempting to go with the rook in here. So goes the check, going away, check here, going away, and no more checks, in fact, right? Interesting. And white is tending to checkmate. Going there was bringing another pawn in. Okay, queen b2. Now rook comes and goes. Pawn moves, and then, well, yeah, I was looking at this move too. I was watching that live, and I was looking at that move because that makes him play to g4, and then yeah, checkmate is a really significant threat. So that's what I was thinking. But he moves the pawn, which is also kind of good because we're threatening one more thing, the queen, and win. Goes there. That's where the pawn moves. He can give a check, of course, check, but then checks are stopping, and we've still got this move, right? And then threatening checkmate, as well as the pawn goes forward. But black decided to exchange the queens, which is also kind of understandable, sorry. So changes, taking last pawn. Now black is 2 pawns up, and that pawn is unstoppable because the king cannot really advance that way. Goes there, going closer, going there, and the next move, well, black's king can approach, but he goes there, and then if the king approaches even closer somewhere, like here, uh, queening, taking, taking, king takes, and the black's king comes, sorry, black king comes this way, munches all of the pawns and wins. Okay, so simple conversion here. White resigned. Next, Bob Smith was playing against Jasmine Jan, and it was usual. Well, not usual actually. I don't know if Bob plays the Alapin defense here or the other one, but Jasmine here replied with the Hungarian variation, which is called. Okay, and after a while, they reached a certain position here, which I believe that the whole, like, the thermometer was always showing nearly like nil-nil all the time, and they reached this queen end game, which was basically a draw. And after some maneuvering, actually long maneuvering, um, they agreed to a draw. But every side just tried the chances, but in fact they agreed for to a draw here. Okay. Nadia Braganza was playing against Herman van Riemsdyk, and they here played the Catalan in this case, but without d4. So it's not Catalan; it's basically Reti opening, right? So here Black plays d4, and it's actually really recommended by even Alekhine to play d4 and then knight to c6. But there it was combined with a different idea when the bishop goes to f5 as well, and in order to protect and make a push sometimes, so just exchange and then uh, get to d4 with a piece or something like that. So here knight c6, d3, and basically, well, okay, but what is the white's advantage in here? That's not really clear, right? So he can go there, or she can go there, taking, creating a center maybe, but that's about it. Yeah, going there, 6, going there, trying to blockade everything here. But interestingly, white still get this push, right? Taking, then going that way, attacking the bishop, he goes away, taking here, rooks exchanging, taking, and then that pawn is hanging. So basically, even if he stepped here, it's still like 3 defenses, 3 attacks, so white could have get a really nice center here. Need to remember that, in fact. So basically what white plays is the modern Benoni with extra tempi. Okay, okay, e5, protecting that one. Knight goes there. Well, again, what's the reason? Going back. Here we go. e3 was probably on the plate, but yeah. e3 goes now. Taking. Going forward. Exchanging. Going there. Black throughout the whole game keeps advantage. And yeah, checking, taking. Now white's king's position is quite dire now. So yeah. black gradually converted the advantage. The pawn is gone, and yeah, well, white can't really sustain this. Um, Even the king's flank is now exposed, so yeah, white resigned. Next move, next game, sorry, it was Zachary Yu playing against Ryan Winter. So here we got the Rogers in defense again with queen to d6. Well, can you play that? I'm not quite sure. Interesting. So yeah, I believe yeah, black's position here is not really good because of yeah this whole disposition with rook queen to d6. I need to verify if it is a theory variation or not, but yeah, this kind of this an equal position now. And here comes the blunder, which in this position, right? So going to the back rank was fatal because there were some of the checks. Yes, you can defend the e3, but then the checks are coming and um, all the pieces are suddenly hanging there. So going there, take. Now, I think that's what White actually overlooked. He took, taking there, and now what happens is there's the checkmate threat first of all, and there's also check here, and also the bishop might hang. So main threat is get there c1 check, and then you are basically piece short. So white resigned here. David Shile Vincenti was playing against Isabel Ning. So here we see um, attempt to Queen's Indian, which Isabel usually plays. But here David plays e3, which is I think called Smyslov variation or something. I'm not quite sure. And in fact, this is quite an interesting position because it's hard to find any usual counterplay that is uh, um, you know that is that black performs in King's Indian defense. So here the whole pattern of the play is slightly different. It's more like I don't know, maybe similar to the Averbach system or something, but pawn is on e3 still. So yeah, but it doesn't say like while white has got a lot of like significant advantage. She can't really play e5 here, so everything is blocked. So black is okayish. Now here, yeah, but again white wins here because he places the pieces in on the best positions, right? So here we go, e5 is performed, taking, and now if white is going there, it is manifesting the white's um, advantage. Black could have replied with e6, in fact, but well, that's a crazy move. It looks like exchanging, going there, and despite that, black has got like an extra pawn, right? Literally, no, not literally, but strong passer here. It's gonna be gone soon, and here comes the exchange as well, and yeah, the pin now going there. Well, so yeah, she went away from the pin, attacking the rook, but rook is still there. So yeah, another pawn is going forward, and that's basically yeah, that's it. And another pawn is gone. Yeah, position is lost for black. Right. So here is typical outmaneuvering by a more experienced opponent. Now here we go again Rogozin defense. It is quite popular these days. Everybody plays that, so yeah, young players copy that. So here we got some maneuvering, and basically what white comes with is just a minority attack here, whereas black has got well a lot of pieces in the on the king's side, but it's really hard to get some initiative here anyways. He tries, and I think he succeeds. Partly he succeeds, but then some kind of unnecessary maneuvering with the queens comes, and then yeah, white has got advantage again. Check. Now, well, white starts to pressurize. Look at this pawn, for example. Yep, it's definitely in white's advantage now. Going there, taking here, check, check, covering, taking. White will probably get quite a lot of pawns here. Taking that check here. So white technically is exchanged down, but in this position, I believe this bishop is gonna be like a monster. So yeah, another pawn is gone, my goodness. So here there is also a direct attack on the enemy's king. And here we go. The exchange is back, and white has got 3 pawns basically now. Another pawn is gonna fall soon. Here we go. And black resigned. What a turn. Ooh, now Leo McLaren was playing against Joshua Langford. Then here comes a regular Caracan advanced variation. I'm not an expert on that variation, frankly saying, uh, but it looks like like French to me, basically. With that advantage, well, advancing that pawn here, not quite sure. And again, white has got significant advantage from the very beginning. Oh, by the way, that's what this game is peculiar about. So this way, look, um, the queen was attacked, but Leo actually gets this queen away, gives that queen away, and instead of that, taking all the other pieces. And now look at this pawn. This is a really strong passer, and it just two squares until it queens. So now black tries desperately to stop that pawn, and in fact he needs to bring his knight somehow here, but this pawn is actually prevents that from happening. So even going there, it's not really possible because the pawn is, protected. Really nice because white wins, having, queen down, being queen down. Sorry, taking even there. So now it is just like rook and the knight for a queen. But believe it or not, white still wins because he goes there onto e7 or d6 check, and then black needs to give away his queen for the rook, and then that's it. And black resigned. Really interesting game with the queen sacrifice. Ole Archer was playing Zero Zing, and here I believe it was not a long game. I might be mistaken, but that's what I remember. So here, taking. White played it without any kind of. Black has got advantage in here, my goodness. So now then position simplified and it was perpetual here. Okay. Next, Michael Sol playing against Kendrick Zhang. Kendrick usually plays the can defense or the Taiman of Sicilian here, and yeah, there is a lot of this is really um, aggressive move. G4, taking there, um, and then well this knight here gets under a lot of tempi. So here again, this pin is actually really unpleasant. D6 is under attack. White has got serious initiative now. F4, castling. F5. Yeah, king's position is getting wide open, and yeah, white I believe should really win here. So yeah, check, 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 checkmate. Yep. Okay, next, Ben Thomas was playing against Justin Wang, and here we see some kind of weird French. Then e4. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so taking. Okay, so here I believe, well, I don't know. I would say there was white like having a really good time, but apparently black is okay here. Just moving d4, opening the diagonal is quite good. There, going back, going there. Okay, a lot of maneuvering, going back and forth, and here. Whoa, okay, so that's kind of, that doesn't feel right. Going there, c3, they're taking. Okay, going there, forcing exchanges. Well, here, yeah, kind of equal, right? So white has got this really weak pawn. Oh gosh, the pawn is lost. And that's it basically, yeah. This pawn is gonna be, well, it's really weird how white actually blundered that. And it looks like you've got, they played quite fast in here, by the way. It's move 50 and both players has got like 1.5 hour here and 45 minutes there. So they played quite fast. And here we go. Wow, those pawns are non-stoppable basically, yeah. Wow, cool. Now next, Laila Temirgazi was playing against Nick Cummings, and here we have Queen's Gambit accepted. I noticed that Nick Cummings plays this variation with the bishop on g4 instead of the classical one with a6 and then c5. Interesting. Okay, going there. And this is the this position that was played by somebody else here too against Nick Cummings. I don't remember what the player, but it was exactly what happened here as well. And here, yeah, well, the position is nearly equal. Like, what? There is no problem here whatsoever. This pawn is not going to be weak. You can move that there. Yeah, so 6. Yeah, but well, not with this knight. Where would this knight go? Just ridiculous. And here, white, well, black's king's position is basically ruined. It's really dangerous to get that kind of holes here where the queens are on the board and the heavy pieces. So maneuvering for white, white can definitely improve the position. So here comes the e6 pawn, right? So attacking e6 pawn, then attacking the king at the same time. So yeah, that's just not too good. Another pawn goes, yeah, that's it basically. Yeah. Winning the queen. That's a brilliant game. Right. So after this particular uh, mm, particular um, uh, round 8, the standing, I can't really look at the standing at that round, but I can look at the pairing on round 8. And here we go. We've got Daniel Gong, who drew with Nicholas Crowd, and he was on 6. Now um, 6.5, yes. Now the Grandmaster Elishan was 5.5 and he won, so he started to share the share the leadership. So he's also on 6.5, and then the next one was Semi Shocker, another Grandmaster on 6, and that's it. So basically 3 people there. In round 9, the pairings were as the Grandmaster plays against Edward Reigns, who won Russell Dive. Now Daniel Gong plays with Herman van Riemsdyk. Shocker plays against Crowd. Jasmine plays against Anthony Kerr, and so on and so forth. You can see who was playing with whom. I'll just scroll down. Okay, and the results are, well, more or less kind of um, more or less logical there. So we're moving to round 9. Sorry, and round 9 we'll just go through the boards again. So Elishan was actually drawing against Edward Rain. So again, really nice achievement for Edward. He's quite a strong CM. So here we play some kind of a weird Sicilian defense with the fianchetto to the bishop. So yeah, the pawn is gone here, but white will get some compensation for that, of course. So going there, taking there, taking there, taking, castling. The pawn is gone, and here we got, well, black is not really developed here. Yes, white lost his right to castle, but well, there's nothing really bad about this position for white, so he can go c4, for example, protecting the knight as well. And frankly, well, black's king is also like, yeah, a little bit exposed on the queen side here. Going there, c4, as I said, yes, going there. Now we start to attack the enemy's king as well, taking there with the bishop. Going there, rook. So he's probably planning to go b4, and actually white has got some advantage in this position. Okay, going there, developing, going there, taking on f4, taking on g7, rook d7, another rook comes into play. Well, he what was wrong with going with um, b4 here? So if b4 is played, is that giving any advantage? No, it is actually a draw because black starts to relocate and start harassing the enemy's king. Okay, so in this case the rook comes in, and then we've got this going there, taking, taking, taking. White stands pawn up in this case, a6, unnecessary probably. Going there with the rook, yeah, changing everything. King b8, and here black offered a draw. And in basically this position, white has got some advantage, of course. But would that be enough for a win? I think neither of them wanted to risk, and Edward was quite good, quite okay with the draw against the Grandmaster. We got a really cool achievement, anyways. So they agreed to a draw. Next game, Daniel Gong against Herman van Rimsdijk. Since Daniel is quite a strong player, they didn't really go for such a long game here, and basically agreed on a draw on move 8. Well, I can understand them. Nobody wanted to risk. David Gong basically got 7 points, and he was the leader among the New Zealand players. So he's got his New Zealand Championship title now. I think it is the second time, so congratulations to Daniel. And here we've got Semi Shocker playing against Nicholas Crowd, and he played his favorite, um, you know, it's kind of it's a Reti opening here, of course. Yeah. Uh, so checking everything, taking there, going and attacking. Now the sorry, black's light square bishop is gone. Black tries to regroup, but his pieces are really crumbed here. Um, here comes the blow in the center, and we are going to see. Yeah, the pawn is gone, but yeah, he doesn't take that. White has got stable advantage in here because of the space, of course, right? So it's just and a lot of possibilities to, develop the initiative, of course. So here comes the king's residence is gone, and with that, I think black would not really sustain the attack. In fact, so yeah, the piece is up, going there, covering, no more checks, and basically white emerges with extra pawn and extra piece. So here, and also the queens are there, and yeah, basically that's it, right? So black resigned. Jasmine Jiang played against Anthony Kerr, and that's the second game that Jasmine lost in this tournament. She won without basically, well, there was one loss for her, but that's the second one only. So not too bad either. It was really good actually. So here we go with the London again, and black plays some kind of Queen's Indian on that system, and yeah, White was maneuvering way too much, just gradually giving up the position, and black started to counterattack. Here they were repeating the moves, but Kerr deviated from there, and he actually didn't really. Well, that was still kind of drawish here, right? So now rook moves back instead of staying on the seventh rank. It's always, well, not always, but in majority of cases, getting your piece away from the central position is usually bad. So here we go with retreat, which is not really necessary. The rook was not attacked in here, so probably there was a better way to, you know, for white to go. And here computer recommends queen to d6, attacking the knight. Um, yeah, that's actually a really strong move here. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Rook moved back. F5 was quite interesting, but that basically loses on spot. Check here, taking, going away. Knight comes into attack with several threats here. This is the check here too, by the way. Checking, going away. Now discover check is threatened, and after bishop to d3, there was a checkmate, basically, right? Yeah, so checkmate. Um, yeah, white allowed too much to black in this position. So here in this game, sorry, Ryan Winter was playing against Robert Smith. So let's just verify that. Again, Ryan Winter won. Bob was probably not really happy about that, but that's how it goes. So this is the Najdorf, and the variation is quite common here, in which, well, white has got certain advantage. A4, c6, c8, rook c8, going a6, and it's an interesting system. It's, I believe that if Gedler was playing that one with restricting black's, pieces on the queen side instead, rather than attacking. But here comes f5 as well, and um, white light square bishops are gone. Basically, black stays with the bad bishop on e7, as well as the whole on d5. So that can be utilized, of course. So going there. The pieces are jumping into play, maneuvering, maneuvering here, and d5. I'm not quite sure. d5 taking. Well, black is desperately trying to uh, develop the pieces here for sure, but well, this pawn here and the taking, yeah, okay. Taking. White has got advantage here for sure. Check, he goes away. h3 just to create the escape square. Queen, well, I would gladly exchange queens here for sure. And then the pawn goes on, going there. And basically, yeah, well, the square can be controlled by our knight, our bishop, sorry. Going back, taking here, and then yeah, with this pawn, another pawn just goes and creates an inevitable, you know, um, threat to push forward and win afterwards. So here we go, one. And this is a really interesting game between David Silivincenti and Leonard McLaren. So I'll skip the beginning here. It was just Nimzo Indian defense, really funny variation though. But then it comes to a really peculiar endgame in which white has got the decisive advantage. Um, but being short on time, probably, here in this position, white has got really serious advantage already because of those a lot of pawns. But then suddenly everything is getting exchanged and white loses a lot of pawns by some reason. So I'm sure it was probably like the nervous kind of start, but yeah, look, all the pawns are just going away from the board. Yeah, another pawn is gone, and basically, yeah, instead of like +5, white has got like +2, but it's still like it's really hard to defend as black. So we go there. Now opponents start to get really short on time. I think it's the second control passed already. So here we will probably see a lot of here. Okay, so here we go. So that was the significant mistake here to go closer to the pawn, in fact. Well, what computer recommends here is just to go g6. Well, it's just hard to understand that, of course, because, well, basically you are what why is it rook g6? I'm not quite sure. Aren't we getting checkmated here? Yeah, so rook g6 six. What what is this rubbish? I don't understand. Okay, check here, going there, of course, and then the pawn goes. Yeah, so that's what I would think. It is possible, yeah. Okay, but the king goes there, check, then... Oh, shit. Pardon me for saying that, but um, the bishop is gone. Why just blunder the bishop on in plain view? Okay, but still a lot of pawns there, so I believe that the position is still winning. Yeah, the position is still winning for white. Okay, the knight can't really get those pawns. Yeah, pawn goes, the knight needs to stay there and capture. Now here is the moment of truth. So he goes there and the only winning move was to push the pawn. And it's actually hard to do because it looks like the king is still following that, right? So even if he goes that way, we're still winning because of blocking. Another pawn goes on. Say he goes and waits with the knight, going there, goes back, we're going forward. Now I don't want to let him come in, so I will just go with the king. So I go forward, and yeah, I believe with the our king goes there, we just exchange everything. Our pawn for the knight, and then another pawn goes. Interestingly, okay, so now, but he goes there, and basically that's a draw. Yep, that's a draw, guys. The pawn is not passing, and this pawn is not gonna go anywhere. Okay. Okay, so I'll just make a quick pause here. Okay, so next one is Michael Sol playing against Hao Tang, and this is also interesting game. Hao always plays this the dragon variation, but it's a really peculiar one with a6. And then he doesn't really go in a castle, he goes h5, so he prevents the direct attack, which is quite common in the Yugoslavian attack, for example. But white usually goes with that anyway, so it just goes like there, knight bd7, castling alongside, b5, going there, then bishop b7, um, king to b1, right there, and see, well, white can't really perform the regular attack in here as it is, like h4 and h5, etc. But instead of that, white has got really nice central position for the rooks, and then bishop can go there, and then the pawn can go to h4. So basically, well, cool, but you didn't castle, and you can't really start to attack on the queen side as well. I'm talking about black. So here's the position that, well, actually, yeah, queen to c7 actually gives a lot of uh, initiative here, but I, I look by looking at that, I see like only one move that was quite good, and it was still a draw. But maybe white didn't really use the whole potential here, so that's exactly the disposition here. But even without the pawn to h4, it is still white has got really strong position here, and it's just like e4. This one is also kind of on the plate, so yeah, it's quite a strong position here anyways. But white goes to bishop to e2. That's another variation here. And if you see what happens, it is just like white plays for restriction, right? Restricting the black pieces from developing, whereas the king is still in the safety here. d5, taking, going there, and c4. Okay. Um, well, not quite sure about this opening center because yeah, well, black can use the e file, the open e file, then because the bishops are quite, you know, not really nicely placed here. In fact, taking. So instead of taking what was better, taking the well, that gives advantage to black. In fact, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, because this pawn is weak. He's got the open file, and white's pieces are basically not really developed. So he goes there, going away, taking on d5, going there, taking on b4, exchanging here, exchanging there. Now black has got two extra pawns at the moment. And now comes the mistake. I'm not quite sure why it was necessary to go to h7 in this position. But yeah, attacking the queen, changing the rooks, taking their okay. That that that's the thing. So bishop attacked only by the queen, and that one is actually distracting the queen. Therefore, white wins a piece here. Going there, trying to create some counterattack dynamically, and just going and covering everything. Now, one pawn is gone, queens are gone, and it's technically won in game for white. So he also followed those moves, continued, and after a while, I think another pawn was gone, and yeah, now white defended against all of the checks, and the position is lost. Next, Ben Higg was playing against Russell Dive, and here we see a draw again. So that was um, an interesting a6 move here, which I'm not quite sure about. But basically, yeah, it is Akira Rubinstein's um, move. In fact, I saw it in his games, but that was just a waste of tempo, in my opinion. Okay, and in this position, they agreed to a quick draw. Next, Isabel Ning was playing against Nadia Braganza, and the position was emerging after the King's Gambit declined, in which and it's the exchange variation which Isabel plays against this variation. Bishop d6 is interesting. It is kind of a mm, new idea in the old opening, which is related to some certain ways of controlling e5 and also playing c5 at some point. Yeah. So going there, h6, going away, a4, oh sorry, a5, going there, getting away with the bishop. And in fact, well, black hasn't got the. It's not a bad position for black. Yeah, a4 is not available, so taking with the pawn is, yeah, definitely not giving white anything here. Bishop there. Finally, this position I think emerged from some other opening sometime. Um, I think from Nigel Mages. Yeah, we'll check that one because the position is really interesting and close to something that I have already seen. Okay, going there, exchanging, exchanging. Now, black still has got a little bit of advantage here because of that really weak pawn here. But here we go. So here is the moment of truth, and black takes on a4. And that's not good because white has got combination here. Bishop takes. If, well, pawn cannot really take that because it is pinned, right? So the rook cannot really take that. So he goes there, taking on a d8. Rook takes, and then discovered check, and the attack. Rook is gone. Black is lost. Well done, Isabel. And unfortunate for Nadia, she missed that combination here. E4. And now we go adjusting one playing against Ole Archer. Ole won this game. He plays Caro-Kann, as I understand, most of the cases. And here we go with the exchange variation. But white makes a lot of back and forth moves without any reason. And white makes a lot of moves. So black's position here is, yeah, already having a lot of good stuff in here. And basically the white's bishop is stranded among all of those things. He needs to go somewhere. White needs to go somewhere like to make that bishop work, but otherwise it is just, yeah, black continuously increasing the advantage, improving his position, then just breaking through, and yeah, that's basically winning. Bad bishop against good knight. And but the position here, it is equal position, in fact, that's what computer says. So it took from white several bad moves to get to a lost position, in fact, and that's what usually happens. Really rarely the position gets bad because of one move. It's just like it should be really serious blunder. But here it is a serious moves that led to white's defeat, in fact. Now the position of Zero Zing and against Nigel Midge. Nigel is our chess president this time. So he goes with the usual Stonewall Dutch. That's what he plays usually. Now this exchange on e4 is definitely not in the white's favor. So lack of understanding probably. Now this is not too bad. It is good for white. Going there, changing, and here we emerge with similar to Isabel's position, in fact, right? So this, but the difference is that the bishop is on g4, right? And yeah, white hasn't got any kind of counterplay in this case. I was thinking that he could go a4 maybe. So that was kind of not really bad idea here. Instead of that, he went that way by some reason, strange reason, maybe to trying to sack here or just go, but that's a weird idea. Okay, there everything has changed, and now black emerges differently with a huge advantage. He's to open the A file. He's got the passer on E file as well, and yeah, well, that's the matter of technique, just to infiltrate and win here. So here we go, and the pawn decides. William Liu played against Zachary Yu here, and it is e4. Now we see the Najdorf, a really common way, and that's the English attack as well, which is quite popular these days. Knight to f3 is a rarer than knight to b3, but equally played. I think even in the candidate tournaments that was the case. Somebody played it. I think Nakamura was playing something. So now we get a really nice position for white, basically the ideal position. If we change that bishop, that would be great. Okay, here we go with e6. He can take on a d6 because of the check, and the queen is gone. So he needs to step away. So basically white has got an extra pawn here, trying to create some attack on the king's side, but more pieces are getting exchanged, and yeah, basically black hasn't got anything in here. But hang on a second, what the hell was happening here? So it was in a winning position. They agreed to a draw. My goodness. So here, why would you? Mm, yeah, f6. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Let's go in there. Yeah, well, that's definitely winning for white. Not quite sure what happened here. And now Leila Timirgazi was playing against Dachi Mao, and here it is the London again. Kind of weird London with knight to e c3, but it is also called a Verisov opening, I think. But then the idea was to play f3 and then e4. Here that doesn't happen, and the whole edition here is quite peaceful, in fact. Um, but then it is not that easy, in fact. So black has got some advantage here because of this pawn. And now g6, yeah, she obviously wanted to use that kind of dark square weaknesses around the enemy's king, but it's really hard. So taking here, instead of that going there, well, what's wrong with just pinning that bishop or something? Or just even, hold on a second. Um, I'm not quite sure what. So take the f6, d4, bishop g5, queen to g5. Yeah, taking that. So he needs to go away or play f6. F6 is impossible because we take. So going back was the only option then. Right, so if he goes back, Mr. Computer, tell me why. So going there, yeah. In my opinion, black has got the advantage here. But it says no. Okay. Anyways, so going forward. So white plays knight f6, check. Then king goes forward. Then rook, queen to g5, check, going there, and then this one with checkmate. Okay, fair enough. So then it goes that way, going away, trying to infiltrate still on the dark squares. Then h5, check, and here comes the draw. But instead of that, black could go f5, right? Check here, doesn't matter, nothing serious. So we can go either way here or there, and it's a draw, guys, right? But going there, in fact, goes -2. It's really hard to let white to get all these pieces around the king, of course, but in fact it was defendable, and not only defendable but winning for black. Very peculiar. Now queen to h6 check, rook takes. It's not really not a really hard to find combination here. So taking here, she black took, but then, well, that was playing with fire, in fact. And I saw this position already. Here, black shouldn't really take that. Black should be just going somewhere, whatever. But he took, and that was actually fatal because he could have, you know, lost a lot here. Instead of going back and forth with the queen, white could have developed an attack. Take here check, for example. Goes there. It just goes there. Yep, going there. Can't really go there because it's a check. Then the rook is getting lost. Everything is lost. Now if he goes somewhere like here, then again check, goes away. Then check here. He goes there. Check here. Goes there. Check here. Goes there. And now I think check going there. Check going there. Check going there. Rook comes in. Yeah. And if rook protects, simply taking the rook, right? Definitely, yeah. So it looks like it's a draw, but in fact, well, I need to look into that a little bit more thoroughly because, in fact, it looks like a draw, but white is winning. That's what computer says. So bringing in the rook and then, yeah, attacking. And the last but not least, the game against, well, Philly played against Cohen Young, and that was again the London. Gosh, there's a lot of London these days. But yeah, basically that's the idea. Um, I saw that one just a couple of days ago. I think the Grandmaster, gosh, what was his name? Igor. Igor Novikov was lecturing at Sinkfield, and he was talking about this kind of positions where he prepared against another grandmaster, and it's exactly the position against those two. I don't know who was actually watching that. I think Cohen Young probably was the one who was watching that, but in fact, yeah, it was interesting to see that kind of position here, which finished with a draw, in fact. Okay, and that's really funny that these guys played that after the lecture. So I believe both of them actually watched the Singfeld. Maybe that's my guess. All right, so this is all the boards there. We're just going to the standing, and after round 9, it was the standings here, and the standings say it is basically uh, three players are sharing seventh 7 points, and it was two grandmasters. One is USA against Egypt. Then Daniel Gong was on 7 points, and next was Edward Reigns, and then another Brazilian international master, Herman van Riemsdyk. Then New Zealanders here, and yeah, there's a lot of people that shared 6 points in here actually, and then 5.5. Okay, so I'll just scroll that thing down for you to just to see what is going on. And here we go. There are standings for all of the players. Okay. All right then. So with this kind of thing, I would like to finish that. I was to briefly cover that. The Congress is over. I believe that they will have some rapid or even a blitz as well, but doubt that I'm going to cover that really. And I will return back to my puzzle solutions after that. Okay, guys. So thank you to everybody who was watching and will be watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care and bye bye.